how to get rid of fear and failure and how to stop shaming yourself. You can't make changes when you're shaming yourself. It's not easy. And so 100%. Listen, if anyone's shaming anyone, just get them out of your life now and definitely drop those books and mentors.
Well, hi there, and welcome to A Sit With Me podcast. My name is Solène, and I am your host. And today, on today's episode of A Sit With Me, taking a sit with me is Jenn. And Jenn is a sugar addiction expert. And I met her I found her on Instagram, and on the podcast I wanted to talk about addiction, more precisely sugar addiction, because to be honest with you, I think that it is something that I'm suffering from. I think that I'm addicted to the thing, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to have a conversation about addiction as a whole and sugar addiction, and I ended up reading her book, which is called Woman Unleashed. And if there's one book that you have to read, it is Woman Unleashed. I'm going to put the link in the description box. I'm going to link it everywhere that I can possibly link it. It is an amazing book because it is more than like a diet weight loss book. It's not about that. It's a whole life coaching book, and this is why I'm so excited to have her on the show, is because when you talk to Jenn, you just don't talk about weight loss or your physical appearance or thinness or fatness. You talk about life. You talk about self-love. You talk about reconnecting to yourself, because all of that is part of your diet. All of that is part of your sugar addiction, or whatever addiction that you have for that matter, right? And I am so glad that I found her. I am so glad for her coaching, for her teaching, for herself. She accepted to be on the show, and I'm so honored, right? So we talk about that. We talk about sugar addiction, of course, but we go to the root of sugar addiction, because it is more than just a piece of cake. It is more than just eating candy. And it was an amazing, enlightening, life-changing conversation. Go read her book, listen to that conversation, go on her website, go look at her work. She's amazing. She's full of love. She's full of light. She's full of wisdom. She's full of energy. And her smile is beautiful. She has one of the most beautiful smiles. And I am glad that she sat down with me. Please enjoy this conversation as much as I did. And without further ado, please take a seat with Jenn. How are you doing? So nice to meet you, Jenn, in person. Well, in person, Yeah, in person.
Thank you, Celine. Same.
You doing good?
I am. Yeah.
I wonder on which side of the globe you are, because it's 6 p.m. where I am right now. And I know that it's pretty early for you. So we're really not.
It's 10 a.m. here in Flagstaff, Arizona. It's 10 a.m.
So we're really not on the same time, though, because you told me MST, and I was like, that is not, I've never heard of MST. So I had to do a whole thing and put my alarm.
Mountain Standard Time, yes.
There we go. But thank you so much for accepting to sitting down with me. You have no idea what that means. I am so excited about that interview. I got ready. I read everything. I read your book. It's just I'm really psyched that you're here, because I wanted to on the podcast, I want to have conversation. I wanted to talk about sugar addiction, because I feel like it's something that we don't really talk about much. Also, I think that I am definitely addicted to sugar. So I'm putting also myself on blast, and I was looking for people to talk about just also the broad topic of addiction, but not just addiction to substance, which is more known, but this addiction to anxiety, addiction to sugar, all of this type of addiction. So I typed addiction, and there I found Jenn. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to message Jenn, even though there's little chance that she's going to answer. And I wanted to talk about sugar addiction. And that's when I found you. But then I read your book, and I was like, wait a minute. She's so much more than a sugar addiction expert, which you are. You are a sugar addiction expert and the creator of Sugar Freedom Method. And I was like, wait, it's actually way more than sugar addiction. And your book, which is Woman Unleashed.
What is it? What did you take from that? Wow.
Thank you. So much more than sugar addiction. And so that was my first instinct. Well, I'm going to get her in on the podcast. I'm going to talk about sugar addiction. But then I get your book, and I put it on my little ebook reader thing. And it is more than food. It's more than food coaching. It's a life coaching. It's a life coaching book. So it's like an all-encompassing book, where it's more than the sugar addiction. You're giving life advice. You're giving empowerment. You're giving so much more than diet, quote unquote, because I know that you're not pro-diet, you know what I mean? And I love your book because it is not just about food, it is not just about sugar. You have this, it starts with life advice, and my first question was actually the structure of your book, because it starts with like this fundamental and foundational life advice. Then we get a little bit in the diet, but it does not feel mean. It feels like you're a friend who's just telling, you have my best interest in mind, you know, and you're telling me things from your own experience, and you're giving me a little like diet advice to be like, girl, okay, sugar is not good for you for that. And then back to like empowering me to live my best life. And so that's kind of the structure of your book. Was that intentional, or was it like it just happened?
That's my first tear on a podcast interview. I had to write notes because I am going to mention about Celine tomorrow to the 10,000 plus women that I write to every single day. I'm so touched by what you said. That is a challenge to get. It's always easier when someone sees me than I see myself after doing this for 20 years. I'll be 50 at the time of this recording in like a week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And yes, the intention was to make this thing out here, addiction, sugar addiction, weight loss in midlife. I don't feel great. I have high anxiety, depression. I mean, I work with everything. And if for it to just be like, well, here's Jen, whoop, there's the work. Like, it's easy. It's not some unattainable thing out here that we all can solve these things ourselves with the right plan in place. That's not a diet. That's not potions, pills, shakes. You got to work out 7 days a week. It's none of that. It's these 5 steps. When you follow them, they friggin' work. And I just love what you said. I wrote it down. Life advice, empowerment advice. Here's the thing. I've had people who alcohol was an issue. It's no problem, right? But they say, I can't get the sugar handle, Jen. And so they are very versed in the 12 steps. And I'm like, I don't even know what those are. They go, well, your method hits on them all. So my work gets downloaded to me from God, from the universe, depending on what you believe. I believe in God. And they're like, oh, this is the 12 steps, and it works for sugar addiction. And I'm like, oh, okay, tell me what the 12 steps are. So I unintentionally like created this thing. I just needed to save my life. I was sick for decades. And we have bipolar, depression, anxiety, mental breakdowns. Addiction is in my genes. And I wasn't well for decades since I was little. And I figured it out. And by my late 20s, I got certified as a holistic health coach. And I said, I'll be 50, 2 weeks from the time of us chatting. And the thing saved my life. And then I was like, well, I can't die with the music in me. Like, how am I going to do this? And so I did private coaching for a long time. And then a couple of years ago, I created something called the Freedom Club. And it's ridiculously super, it's just where women around the world, I've got South Africa now, I've got the UK, oh gosh, Canada, they're from everywhere. And like, it's my life's work.
Mm-hmm. But it shows.
I stumbled, to answer you, I stumbled upon this from myself and then saying, I can't die with the music in me. Make a book, make a club where people can learn this method. And so, yeah, it's that baby's 3 years old.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really, it's so good. And it shows that you're talking from your own experience, which is why I say when you read the book, it's not a diet book. It's not a weight loss book. It's not a shaming book. It's not even vilifying sugar, even though, I mean, yes and no, but it's not to make you feel bad about the fact that you eat sugar. You know, it's just take a good look at yourself. And I love the fact that you're so direct and you're so forward with it, but you're also addressing these very important things like anxiety, fear of failure, the power of your mind, the power of your thoughts. And you're going at the root of addiction, because I am a true believer that addiction is not necessarily about the substance itself. It's to numb other things. And you go there before you talk about the dieting. And I feel like it's such a powerful way to get people in without making them feel bad about whatever it is that they're using to numb, and it's just you're helping refocusing. Does that make sense?
100%. And so I've got three kids. And they're
Yeah.
11, 14, 16, boy, two girls. And I want to just add on to what Selena's saying, because when we're shamed, and I grew up with that, Catholic, Italian, for those who are like, oh God, a double whammy. And when you shame yourself or someone shames you, or my point with my children bringing them up is I never make them feel bad. See, when you feel bad, you lose the lesson. The minute you feel bad or you shame yourself, you lose the lesson. And so my thing is, what'd you learn from that, Luke? What'd you learn from that, Caitlin? What'd you learn from lying, Sydney? What'd you learn from getting up late and being late for school? Like, what did you learn? Because when we learn, we build wisdom, and then we have half a chance of not making the mistake again. Yeah. Sugar addiction is just years of ingraining the same bad habits, and then you layer it with shame and guilt and fear, and it's like you're just stuck in mud. And so I remove all of that. Pre-module 1, how to get rid of fear and failure, and how to stop shaming yourself. You can't make changes when you're shaming yourself. It's not easy. And so 100%. Listen, if anyone's shaming anyone, just get them out of your life now, and definitely drop those books and mentors. It's not about shame.
Absolutely. And I love that you start by addressing that. And you talk actually about your kids, and you said that you are encouraging your kid to lose at chess. I think one of your children is
my oldest. He's like ridiculously brilliant. He's like, Mom, I keep winning. God, play someone better than you.
Yeah, that's what you say in the book. Like, you're encouraging people. And it's such a great book. And you touched on that, the fact that it's not about, for you, it's about feeling good. That's your emphasis. It's about feeling good more than like thinness or losing fat, or et cetera, et cetera. For you, it's way more about, you need to feel good. You need to wake up feeling good. And I feel like putting the emphasis on the feeling is so much more important than the appearance, because we're raised in a society where we have to be obsessed with how flat is your tummy, how but it's like, okay, maybe you have a flat tummy, but you feel like shit.
Way to drop that S-bomb. That's right. Feelings change everything. You have a feeling, which gives you a thought, which creates an action. The feeling comes before the thought, comes before the action. So if I'm going to change your action, I got to start at the root, which is your feeling. And so we change the feeling to change the thought to change the action. We're not changing action alone. That does not work. And my work, I like to say, is permanent. Women come back years later and say, gosh, Jen, it's still working. I still can have some sugar, but it doesn't have a hold on me the same. And it's because we do healing on the inside out with things, but it starts
there. Yeah. And I think that every addiction, it starts, it's not the substance itself. The substance is just the excuse. And in your book, you have this very powerful sentence where you say, a tired, mentally worn out woman, but we can say person, but woman will always be addicted to sugar. Always. Can you please expand on that?
Sure. So I'm a biochemist. Yeah, that's what I went to school for. I went to medical school, couldn't stand that, but I have all these diverse pieces that come together. And so what I know is energy isn't created or destroyed. That's my biochemistry. Energy isn't created or destroyed. Energy is only changed. And so when a woman is exhausted and she's not generating her own energy and she's so tired, you're going to go to sugar for energy. It's fake energy. It makes you exhausted, but you're going to go to sugar. You're going to go to the chips, the pasta, the bread. You're going to go to that stuff, okay? Exhaustion, the brain needs fuel. And if the brain is exhausted, right, the brain, glucose is the food of the brain. And so it's going to make you eat it. You're going to be drinking orange juice, chocolate milk. You're going to be hitting for those at Starbucks. You're going to be looking for these treats because you're not naturally getting it from yourself because you're exhausted from not sleeping well, from being around negative people. There's many pieces. In midlife, there's a lot of other pieces. You cannot, because your brain is running you at that point. And your brain is saying, I need fuel. And the fuel is glucose. And glucose starts with sugar and then breaks down into glucose for the brain to use. So there's no way in bloody heck that there's no way. I watch it. And I watch it in myself. On tired days, I teach my clients, we call them red flag days. And they're like, what is that? Well, for those here who are listening who know football, right, in the States, it's when someone does something illegal, they throw a red flag up and it's like, there's a foul. And so I call it like fouls are happening all day. And that means that, you're exhausted and it's like, flag is up. So I call them red flag days. I just tell people to be on high alert and just know you're going to crave it. It doesn't mean you need to eat it, but you are going to crave it. And that's not a craving I want you to give into, because sugar makes you more tired. And then you get into a sugar addiction cycle and you're so tired you can't get out. And so it's just biochemistry. You can't get out. I got to get you untired first.
Yeah, the thing is, to be fair, like now, sugar makes me tired. Like I don't get energy from sugar. Like it's just when I eat too much sugar, my sugar rush is going to bed. You know what I mean? Like it's not a good feeling. I mean, it's good feeling for like the second that I eat it.
That's
right
correct.
After, it's
not
like,
how long it's good for, and then
you're out. You crash, and so that's why
right.
I need to like take a good look at myself and be like, okay, I think
it's a
you
food
need
issue.
to.
Yeah, I teach people it's typically a food issue. You're not stabilizing your blood sugar. The sugar in your blood, it's going up and it's going down. It's going up, it's going down. All these people doing this intermittent fasting and all these fancy things, at least here in the States. And I'm like, listen.
Europe as well.
Eat. Eat food, like one ingredient foods. Eat food for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And while you're at it, eat more protein. We can never really get enough protein. And it stabilizes the sugar in your blood sugar, and you will not have the same cravings. You will have them if they're emotional, but you will not have the same cravings.
So it is because we're unbalanced. We are emotionally unbalanced. It's because of all of this.
And physically imbalanced. And when we fix, and your gut health. And so I teach that. That's another piece of the method. It's emotional. I handle that last because that one is, right? Mm-hmm. That can go in many directions. It's like an amoeba to me, right? Like it's my biology. It's like an amoeba. I don't know where it begins and ends. Mm-hmm. But the food we fix your gut health, okay? A microbiome that is out of whack. Constipation, diarrhea, IBS. You have a lot of anxiety. You bloat. This happens a lot in midlife. If the microbiome, those little bacteria, those little critters, they feel us. They feel our energy, and they are very affected by stress, by sugar, by seed oils, these safflower, sunflower, canola, vegetable, like all these things that they do, at least here in the US, destroy your microbiome. So it's stress, it's sugar, it's seed oils. I'll just say it because we're chatting. We're over-vaccinated and over everything where I come from, mm-hmm. and it over antibiotics, and it destroys your microbiome. And when your bad bacteria, when you have more of those than your good bacteria, they make you crave sugar. You cannot break a sugar addiction. And so we work on that with the food, with the mindset. And it's like handle.
Yeah, it's a holistic view of the sugar addiction, because when you are addicted to something, it is never just the thing. And I feel sometimes this is where the shaming comes from. It's like you think that, I just want to stop sugar cold turkey. But it's like you need to look at other things, right? You need to look at other factors.
Always. The sugar isn't the problem. I teach that the sugar is the solution. The sugar is the solution to your problem. I got to get to what the real problem is. What is the real problem? The sugar is just the Band-Aid. I tell people, they go, oh, gosh, if we join, the Freedom Club, do we have to give up sugar? I'm like, give it up. First of all, we never use those words. We don't give up. We don't take out. We don't say no. Because the addict in me is going to be like, more. No, I don't touch it. I don't touch your chocolate. I don't touch the wine. We won't touch your bread. We do all the stuff from the back end first. Work on your gut health. It's module 6. We work on your food. And if I can bring your stress down and get people to sleep more, I'm telling you, they're like, I have control of sugar. It's not where I want it, But Jen, it's not calling me from the cabinet. I no longer need, 5 cookies, 10 cookies, a half a gallon of ice cream. You get control back. Yeah. We rebalances your hormones. It's a whole big thing, but yeah, cool, right?
And in your clients, what do you see in terms of pattern? Why are we so addicted to sugar? Like, do you see a pattern? Why is it so prevalent?
Oh, great question. Yeah, so I know I'm talking to you other side of the world, but you've got to know here in America, and even Canada, actually, I have a lot of people outside the country. It's probably everywhere. We have a do more, be more, have more, buy more, do more, be more, have more, buy more. No one just wants to sit around and
Smell the roses. Yeah.
just enjoy what God has given you. And we have a saying here in the States, keeping up with the Joneses. So and so's on vacation. So and so does this kid does that. And I hate to say it's money related a lot of times. Just the more money, and I've had lots of money and then no money. I have seen it all. And I have to tell you, and we're building back up, thank God. But really having to watch every penny just to live reminded me happiness is an inside job. And that the things I thought I needed, well, I already bought them all. And when I couldn't afford to buy them anymore, I had to look inward. It's an inside job. And I told Joe, my husband, of 23 years next year, I was like, listen, when it all comes back in, I'm going to live this way. There's so much joy in not caring about that and not always having to be on the go. And we don't go out to eat. And there's just joy in being present versus have more, be more, do more. A life like that where we're running around throws your body out of balance. And while sugar doesn't put it back in balance, sugar to the mind, we think so. And if
It gives you the illusion of control. Is that it?
I teach. Say it again.
It gives you the illusion of control, like the illusion of
Well,
balance.
it's like a metaphysical thing. Yin and yang. If people know what that is, yang is running around, very yang behaviors, masculine, getting things done. I'm like, bring out the yang. Yin is yoga, meditation, being a woman, being feminine is right. It's yin, showing kindness is yin behavior. Yang is killing it, crushing it, busyness, running around. And food-wise, sugar is very yin to the body. It's a true story. And so when we have a very yang lifestyle, we're brokers, we're finance, people are like, I gotta have the sugar. Sure, because your very yang attitude, not that it's bad, but it's not balanced in any yin ways that are not sugar. And I never talk about this, but this is amazing you brought this out in me. And so sugar is very yin. And so it actually balances the very young person.
Oh my God, it's fascinating that you're saying this because, as you're talking, I have all these thoughts. It's like we do live in a very young society, and I see in the food we are exactly, and even in the food, the sweet, the sugarization of everything. Sauces are sweet and salty, everything, and it's like so we're craving the yin. We're going for that because we live in a society that is so young and so male dominated with that energy. Is that it? And so we're trying to rebalance it and to get what we don't get from the world. Wow. Okay.
So I bring more yin to people's lives.
My God, yeah.
You take a walk. How about you don't crush it all day and go beyond what the body wants to do? Because I have to work with men too. So I've worked with everyone in 2 decades. But in the very young men had to have scotch. I just need something to bring it down. I was like, well, how about you go for a walk? How about you don't crush it that way? How about, and for women, take a bath, or I'm not really into large, things of meditation. And so that you slow the body down and then your body doesn't crave the sugar, the yin. You can get yin from a million other things. Just no one sees it that way. It's always take it out. But if you take out the sugar and you don't change where the problem came from, that sugar is not staying out very long. 3 days at best, sometimes 30 days. Sometimes someone will say, I did it 3 months, 6 months. Okay, but then it comes crashing down and then they can't stop. And it's because we didn't work on all these underlying
That's the thing.
layers.
And in your book, I think I wrote it. I wrote it down. There's a moment where you're giving people questions that they can ask themselves when they feel those cravings. First of all, being able to notice the craving is a thing. Like sometimes I go so fast. I feel it, I get it. It's just I feel it, I go get it. But when you are at a place where you can realize, oh, I'm craving sugar, you're giving people like a technique on what to do in that moment. Can you talk about that?
That is so great. I love that. Yeah. So what I'm doing a lot of times is I make the unconscious conscious. So you can't change the unconscious. It's happening behind the scenes from all your beliefs. And I don't pretend to be a therapist and all this other, with all due respect, like nonsense. I just say I'm making the unconscious conscious. And the only way you can make changes is if you're aware of them. And I call them your blind spot, right? So there are things that we know we know. I know I'm a woman. I know I have to, this things, I know what I like to eat for breakfast. I know it. There are things I know I don't know. I don't know how to change the oil on a car. I don't know most things that are technology in my business. I hire out. I don't know any of that. I know I don't know it. But the thing where sugar addiction is tricky is there are things we don't know we don't know. You don't know them. And they're in your blind spot back here. And I say back here because those truckers always say, if you're reading this, you're in my blind spot. I can't see you. And I always go, right, blind spot. You can't see it. And so I help people, women, people, find their blind spots. And a blind spot for someone is that they don't know they have a choice, that when they want sugar, they just think they have to have it, or like they're going to die. I have to have it. And I'm like, no, you don't. What? You don't need to have it. You actually, I teach it. It's called the pause technique. Between wanting the sugar and eating it, usually people come to me and there's no pause. Want it, eat it. It's right here. I want it, I eat it. I want it, I eat it. And then I can get you to at least think about, okay, I'm having a craving. I'm still going to eat it, no problem. But then I get to the point where you can want it, and I live here in this place. This is my world. I don't always have to have it. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to feel in the morning? Did I eat enough for lunch? Did I drink enough water? Am I exhausted? Do I just need a cup of tea? Do I actually just need to go to bed right now? And so there is this thing you can pause. But the unconscious, until you make it conscious, you don't even know. You want it, you have it. You want it, you have it. And then we dig this trench of these bad habits that are taking people out here in the people are so sick and inflamed. So I just uninflame their asses by, this technique is very powerful. And so, yeah, I call it the pause technique. Very powerful.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because I had to do it myself because I'm so good at making excuses. I have the best excuses to get the sugar. I mean, first of all, I come from the Caribbean, and I come from a household, a lineage of women who love sugar. There is not inside my grandmother's house somewhere. There is always chocolate or something. We're very sweet. In character and in our diet. So at first, I just grew up like that. There was just cake was easily accessible. You know, it was around me, and it's only as I'm growing up that I'm like, okay, maybe you know what, maybe not the best. And I'm so good at making excuses. I have the best excuses that you can possibly
Like what? This is great. Like what?
Oh
Give me
my
an
God.
excuse. All my women probably say it. So you tell
I'm
me.
bored. I'm about to be on my period. I am on my period. I was just on my period. Just every time is a good time, right?
Oh, and then like I have to have it, so therefore I have to have it. Is that what it? And then the next thought is now I should have it. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, or I've eaten a salad. It's fine. Or like, I don't drink alcohol. It balances out. You know, like everything under the sun to simply justify that I'm gonna get, you know, or like, oh, I went to the gym. It's okay. Like I don't do anything. Because I'm someone. And when I talk about sweet, for me, it's not candies. Like I love cake, like a good cake. That's my thing. I don't eat candy, so I'm like, I don't eat that much bad food. so I can get the cake. But it's like, yeah, but so then it's, you also ate a cake yesterday and the day before that. And you know what I mean? And so I'm really good at making excuses.
That's great. I love that. I hear that a lot from people. That's an old habit. That's you listening to your thoughts and thinking that you need to listen to them. I call bullshit on my thoughts a lot. That's called bullshit. Like, well, that's bullshit. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then for me, I started seeing those things, and bear with me, because if your grandmother, like I'm going to New York to visit my mom, grandma makes things, mom makes things. If it's made with love, to me, it has a different energy to it. So it's a little trickier, but I need you to know, I group. So this is what I group my inflammation, because you will be inflamed. Sugar is the root cause, or inflammation is the root cause of all disease. Okay, dis-ease. Inflammation is that. When you know that truth, okay, that's proven by science, and then you know that sugar is not only highly addictive, but it inflames the body as much, if not more. I don't have research on this, of seed oils, right? And these other sunflowers, these canola oils, right? These seed oils, safflower oil, peanut oil, God help us, rapeseed oil, all these things. When you know that fact, I go, I don't really want to inflame myself today. That's what I tell myself.
Oh.
And so I call it grouping inflammation. If I'm going to, like, I'll be 50, my other bestie, first cousin, will be 40 one day before me, and my other cousin 5 days after. We're all together, and she's like, we're buying cakes. I said, okay, we'll make mine gluten-free because I don't feel good on that stuff. She goes, what do you want? I said, give me a chocolate flour cake, flourless. I want you to know, like, I don't eat that stuff because it's my birthday and I haven't seen my family in like 2 years. Like, I'm going to have a bite. Why? Because I love them. It's so fun. We're all celebrating our birthdays, and there's a reason, and I will not have it again the next day. Do you see how I just did that? I grouped the inflammation. It's legit. It's a celebration. But what I teach is how to get off it. I will not have it again. I will not take the cake home. I had it. It was an event. It's over. And so I teach that. It's just when it's in there every day and we're having it and there's no occasion and there's nothing special, you're in trouble. You're in an addiction cycle. And I teach my kids it's poison.
Yeah, because you say that it's about having control versus saying no. It's about just knowing how to control yourself, basically, and it doesn't feel restrictive. It feels like you have control over what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want, and what it is that you know is best for you. But we keep talking about sugar, and I'm putting myself in the listener's place. What type of sugar are you talking about? I read the book, so I know, but for people who have not read, when you mean sugar.
Okay, so this is great. So sugar is sugar, and by that I mean brown sugar, cane sugar. They have all these names for it these days. Molasses. There's actually 100 names. I want people to look that up. Tapioca starch, high fructose corn syrup, maple syrup, honey. I'm just like, glycerin. Like there's over 100 names for sugar. The main ones are cane sugar. I find that's in everything. Anything that says the word sugar, I don't care if it says whole something, molasses, honey, we'll talk about, and there's better versions. So we do maple syrup and we'll do honey in the house, as my kids get pancakes every day or French toast. We make that at the house. And I put a little honey in my tea, but I mean like that much. And so those are better versions because honey comes from bees. Maple syrup comes from maple trees, okay? And it's not highly processed. So sugar is sugar. Let me go back to that. By that, I mean it affects the body the same way, okay? It spikes your blood sugar levels. It causes the hormone insulin to come out. And that's the problem with diabetics. Like, oh, I'm eating a better version. I'm like, okay, but if you're obese, like, I don't care what kind of sugar you have, it's affecting your body because sugar is sugar, meaning it has the same biochemistry effect in the body. Now, they say, well, agave comes from an agave plant. It's better for diabetics. It has a lower glycemic index, meaning it goes into the body different. There is some truth to that when they talk about honey. It's got a lower glycemic index. You can double check me on that. Then let's say corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, turbinado sugar. That's another. It's all the same stuff. cane something. So I want people to know if you're diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even if you're at an okay weight, this stuff still inflames you. Don't let anyone trick you. And then they tell you about stevia. This is my favorite. Stevia, monk fruit. Do not buy sucralose, okay? I specifically go into schools and volunteer here in the States because sucralose is a neurotoxin. Aspartame, saccharin was proven back in, I think, the 80s or 90s to give rats cancer. But they say it's great for diabetics. And I'm like, oh, erythritol, sugar,
those things that I think my grandfather had one of these, like, it's like, not yellow, white pills that are sugar that are supposed to replace, is that it? The stevia things?
It's probably stevia. But so that's the sugar. And then there are these things that they say are good for diabetics, people who want to lose weight. Monk fruit, stevia, I had said aspartame, sucralose, all these things that sugar, alcohols, anything with an OL, erythritol, maltitol, sorbitol. The problem is they disrupt the stomach. They bother people. They affect metabolism. You can research all these things. They bother, and a lot of them then cause cravings for the sugar. And so I don't buy it with Diet Coke. I tell my clients, switch to the regular Coke for now. I don't want sucralose and aspartame in there. And so don't be fooled by those other alternative sugars. I'm going to say it, I personally think they're worse because they ain't even coming from anywhere I know. It's a person in a lab coat screwing around with things. And while you could argue stevia comes from a stevia plant, yes, a stevia plant, try it on in the body. Women report stomach aches, not sleeping, affects your bowels. And so I don't buy it just because it's 0 calorie. Be very weary. 0 calorie. I'm like, oh, chemical. 0 calorie, chemical. And so sugar is sugar is sugar.
And so what would you say to someone like me? I love sugar. I love it. What would you say to someone who's like, they're hearing you and what they're hearing is you need to not stop eating sugar, all the sugar from now on. It's bad for you. Your body will be inflamed, whatever that is. And like they're feeling insulted by you saying them.
Could be. Yeah.
What would you say to
them?
More
than the sugar. Love yourself more than you love sugar. So start working on things to love yourself. I'll say it again. More than eating the sugar, number one. Number two, I say also to just ease it out. You can have some fruit, especially in the States, United States. Fruit is sprayed with chemicals. And so I say, please eat some organic fruit. Look it up. There's certain fruits that are sprayed, but have a piece of fruit. Fructose is sugar. It's in fruit. But it's got vitamins and minerals and fiber. It comes from God. You pluck it from a tree. Banana will never make you fat. Come on. Like people say, I can't eat a banana. But you just ate 5 cookies. Well, you just ate a granola bar. It's like we forget. They brainwash us. Eat a piece of fruit. Start weaning off. And women do love this one, people who come see us. Usually when we say we love something, it's because we have a sensitivity to it. We have a food sensitivity. So I know, talking to you, you have a food sensitivity to the flour, to the sugar. And so from a biochemistry standpoint, you only want it, which doesn't make sense mentally, but it makes sense from a biochemistry standpoint. You crave and use the word love with things that we're allergic to. And so then women go, oh, wow, allergic. I never thought of that. I wouldn't want to, keep putting things in me I'm allergic to. And so I just attack it from different angles. But for sure, more protein. For sure, protein at each meal. None of this intermittent fasting. You don't eat for a day and then you do 1 meal a day. It's nonsense. For most people.
I love that because I grew up a woman, so obviously I grew up with body dysmorphia. Thank you, the world. Thank you, magazine. I grew up hating every single part of my body and wanted thinness and etc. etc. I'm laying off it. I'm getting better. But something that I'm learning is that now I am not starting anything that I know I cannot be consistent with, and that cannot be a true lifestyle change. For example, working out. I can start and work out every single day for 2 hours. Will I do that for the next 5 years of my life? No. So I rather start it at a pace where I go every other day for an hour and 10 minutes, because I know that I can do that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? And I'm trying to do that with everything. I feel like drastic changes, maybe it's not the case for sugar addiction, and you will tell me, but I feel like drastic changes, something that is not sustainable for
They
the
don't work.
rest of your life, will not
They
work.
don't work. No, they don't work, and they cause injury too. Typically, there's injury in the body. There's injury to the body if you work out that way, and then people need surgeries. I don't believe in drastic cleanses. Like I don't believe in. I don't. I just. I don't believe in that. Maybe a fast once in a while, but I don't. It's not good for the body. It's not good. It's not good for the mind. That's my philosophy. And so I'm with you. We just have to watch the perfection thing. I'm not going to start anything. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
perfection thing, and that'll take you out. For me, I fell down. People say, "Well, how'd you create this thing, this method? How did you to talk about chewing? Talk about chewing in module 3 and tuning in. I talk about food sensitivities and just eating one ingredient food. I talk about your schedule in module 1. I talk about how to go away and vacation and not be inflamed. I talk about life coach. I talk about gut health. I talk about how'd you do? I said, well, with all due respect, you got upset with yourself the 100th time you failed. And the millionth time I failed and picked myself back up,
Yes.
I wrote down the wisdom and said, well, this is what works. Why I can eat really well 5 days a week, and come Saturday, I'm a train wreck. And Sunday, I'm a train wreck. And then Monday comes and I'm better again. And I had to really look at what is going on. I would write it down. Well, that worked. I don't binge on weekends anymore because a weekend is the same as during the week. I don't think different. I don't think different on vacation. My life is a vacation. It's a true story, minus, oh, I love the beach. I live near a beach. I live near mountains. But my life is a vacation. If I want something, I'm doing it or eating it, or I don't wait. I don't wait to build up this energy and then explode on the weekend. No, I follow the same routine Monday through Sunday. They're all the same.
Yes,
And
it's
when you
this,
don't
yeah,
do that,
like don't not looking for like a temporary
oh,
thing,
I don't
like,
eat
yeah.
breakfast on weekends. I don't work out on weekends. I
Mm.
don't go to work, so I'm just running around and I'm like, okay, well, run around less. Do more during the week. People change who they are on weekends, and then it changes their eating. And so I just wrote it down like a million and one times. And I was like, oh, that worked. Oh, that worked. Oh, okay, I don't have anxiety anymore. That's because I don't eat the same sugar. Like I just pieced it together to this thing that
That
works.
works. And you touched it because you have a busy life. You are a mother, you are a coach, you are an author, you juggle so many different roles. And
Yeah,
so how do you manage to, like, between those responsibilities but also staying true to like your wellness journey, because it's also something that people are facing, right? It's like, well, I'd like to give up sugar, but god damn it, like I have a life to
I
live. So how do you
know.
juggle that?
I had 3 kids under 5 too. I just want like I had 3 kids under 5.
Oof, all right.
And ran a company and
Wow.
breastfed and had natural births, and I wanted to be there for my kids. And I had a very small practice when they were little. But to answer your question, I am very intentional with my time. I didn't know who you were, but I loved how respectful you were with your ask. And it matters to me. It's one of my goals to reach more people around the world. It's to heal the world through my method. How can I reach more? And so this was important to me today. I carved the time out because it mattered to me that it matters. I'm very intentional. I know when this is done, I'm going to go have a meal, and then I have a consult for an hour, and then and then I know where it is. And then I'm going food shopping before I have to pick my daughter up from school. And I'll come home and cook tonight. And tonight I hang out with my family. It's NFL night. It's a long story, but we all have. And very intentional. I don't just sit around and death scroll on this thing. I'm very intentional. Before this, I got my newsletter. I write every day for those who aren't on
Yes,
my list.
I also subscribed. Yeah, I receive it. Yeah.
Good. But I wake up, I did that. I took care of my kids and my husband. We got them off to school. Then I went to the gym, and just did a load of laundry. I do a little laundry every day. I'm just very intentional. I'm intentional with most hours of my day. Yeah, sometimes I scroll like, oh gosh, social media got me for a half hour. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
shoot, set a timer. But I'm intentional. Life is short. I don't know if I said it in my book, but I survived a near-death gas
Yes, I
explosion.
wanted to talk to, yeah, yeah, you talk about it, your near-death experience. Absolutely.
20, 28. Yeah, I was 4 months married, and I lost everything I owned, except me and my husband, one cat, and our Jeep. And my wedding album, go figure, my wedding album, and I think my grandmother's blanket made it. That was maybe some magnets off the, nothing. No, oh, my china. My china, because I didn't unpack anything because we're only 4 months married. So all my stuff was in boxes, and I have 35 stitches on my face. I mean, I don't know how the door hit me, and it didn't take my eye, but and so life is short. Experiences for those who are listening, where we almost died, and I lost everything I owned. So crap I own, I tell my kids, I don't care. Like, it's stuff, it's people that matter, because we don't come back.
And you came out with that with a deep sense of gratitude. Like you come out of these experiences being like,
You're a
gosh,
different
this
person.
thing
DNA
is
changes.
gratitude for life, gratitude for this, gratitude for this tree, for my
DNA
fingers,
changes.
for my lunges, for everything.
It just changes. And I was working at a nonprofit, go figure, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. You can't make it up. And I told my husband I'm going to quit in 2 years. I'm going to get certified as this holistic health coach. And I said, I'm going to quit my job in 2 years. In 2 years to the
Yeah.
day, I quit my job. And that was, 20 years, 4 months ago. And
Wow.
yeah, God talks to us. And not that we need to get into all of that, but
But
God
yeah, but
talks.
you need, I mean, whatever it is that you believe in, I'm very woo-woo in that sense. Universe, God, the source, however you want to call it.
You be the
Are
universe.
there are
I get
whispers. There are whispers, and you need to listen. And if you're too busy, if you are, and you talk about that in your book, decluttering your mind, cleaning your environment. I feel like it is part of listening to those whispers. And if you have even one incline that you're bad with sugar, it means that, and that's the thing for me. It's like it was whispering to me. So I was like, it just took me a while to accept the whisper and be like, do something about it, because it felt good to eat the sugar for the moment that I had the sugar spike. It felt good, you know. And then I was like, listen to the whispers and do something about it. But I love the fact that you talk about cleaning your environment, cleaning your relationship, decluttering your mind. Can you talk about what role does that play in the sugar addiction?
Sure. So I find mass confusion in one's life. Mass confusion. Cluttered environment is a cluttered mind. And so what happens is if we're not thinking straight, sugar is just a default. It's just too easy. It's just too easy. I mean, you can't see my house here, but people always say, you know what, who lives here? Like, where's all your kids' toys and where's all like the stuff? And I was like, well, when we sold everything, and I'll get to the end, we sold everything in New York and we traveled the country for 2 years. And we decided we went from New York, as from obviously Brooklyn, New York, for those who know the accent. I get that a lot. We sold everything and we got rid of everything. And I had so much clarity on the road because our stuff vibrates. I believe matter vibrates. And so you got all these things talking to you. You can't hear yourself straight. You can't hear yourself. You're hanging out with negative people. They're just putting negative crap in your head. You can't hear yourself. And module 3 of the Sugar Freedom Method teaches that negative people, they affect us greatly, just the way clutter affects us. We can't think straight. And so my whole thing is tuning in. Module 3 is tuning into oneself. Because I don't pretend that like, oh, I'm this sage on the stage and I heal people. No, I believe my method is the vehicle for people to heal themselves. But you got to be able to hear yourself to know what the hell to do. And so a lot of women say, wow, I've been following you. I feel like I know you. I feel so comfortable. I have tried a million things and failed. And now they're in their 40s and 50s, some 60s. I have a 73-year-old, so cool, from South Africa. I love
Nice.
it. And they're like, I can hear myself more. And I relate to you. And I believe, because I can relate to you, that whatever you created is going to work for me. And It always does when they come with that, I call it intuitive hit. But you have to be able to hear yourself. You can't rely on the doctor, the naturopath, the specialist, the parent, the spouse. They don't know. You know.
Absolutely.
You just don't know right now because you got all these voices and clutter coming at you all day. And I tell my private, so I have a private practice and then this cool Freedom Club membership. And so with some private clients, we get very intimate and they ask a question and I say to them, go for a walk. They're like, what? I go, yeah, I don't know the answer. You don't know the answer. I said, go for a walk. Just take your dog, go for a walk in nature, go to the beach, do something, go on a hike, and then ask yourself the question you asked me in today's call, and she'll tell you. And they go, okay. And then she tells them, meaning her inner voice, his inner voice. They'll tell you. You don't come to answers with all that. Does that make sense? I mean, I
Yeah,
can
no,
get into
with all that, no, absolutely, and it just it
Beta
resonates so
alpha
much.
beta
No,
alpha.
it resonates so freaking much with me and the fact that I spend a lot, I think so far, I'm growing, but so far the majority of my life not listening to myself because lack of self-confidence, because the world is always telling you to listen to whatever they know better. I don't know, that company know better, that person know better, right? Particularly when you are a woman, etc., etc. And I spend a lot of my time prioritizing outside voices instead of mine, and not even knowing the frequency of my soul. Like for me, I say we are radio. We are little radios walking, and I spend a very long time on the wrong frequency. And when you talk about decluttering your environment, my room when I was a kid was a mess because I was unable to tune in. Right. And now it's the complete opposite. It's the complete, like I need to see the four corners. It's pristine. It's organized. It's like, and it's that change. And I did not even do that consciously. It's now that I'm growing, I'm like, okay, I'm changing. And it probably means that I'm more in tune with myself, etc., etc. But it is, whatever it is that you're going through, just know that your environment is a direct reflection of your inner world. It's a picture. It's a mirror of your inner world.
It is. It's the truth. And for those who are listening who are like, wow, I really relate to the two of us. I am highly sensitive times 10. I can feel earth shifts. I feel other people's energy, my clients. I feel through an email you sent me. I was like, this is a good one. Let's do it.
Oh.
I did a podcast like that last month. If she's listening, she'll get a giggle. She's from the States. But her DM to me, a cold DM, was so lovely. I did the same as Celine. I didn't even look her up. I just said yes. And it ends up that she needed, I could cry, the method. And we chatted and she's like, I thought, I was reaching out so that I could help you. She goes, you're helping me. And I was like, God has a way. It's unbelievable. And so everything does have a frequency.
Absolutely. I believe that.
And tune. We just have to get quiet. Yeah. Also, I was saying about highly sensitive women. People.
Yes, you said that in your book.
It's more important that we have cleanliness. I could feel my dust. I'm like, all right, cleaning lady is us. I get all my kids to clean the house. I can feel that. And you can't hear yourself if everything else is vibrating. And so my son is not as highly sensitive as me. And I'm like, how does he leave his bed like that? And so I don't want the dog on the bed. So I just shake it out now. At least the dog isn't under his sheets. But I make my bed every day. And I tighten the sides. And it just needs to feel good when I walk through my room. It's just my jam. I fluff my pillows in the den. Has to just be in order, and then I'm in order, and then I don't crave sugar the same.
Everything is interconnected. Everything is really connected, and
yes, right.
We do live in a world where everything around us, it's a very noisy world, and I think that every person just needs to figure out what works best for them. I feel like I do not want to impose my way of life on anyone, but I still think that we live in a very noisy world, and everything that you can possibly do, that you can possibly find to quiet down the noise a little bit. My thing is, it's noisy all the time. It's so noisy up there. I'm thinking all the time, and I'm feeling things, and I'm hearing. You know what I mean? And for me, it's about just quieting down. And you talk about highly sensitive women. It's interesting because me, I was highly sensitive, but it was turned inwards in the sense that I did not show that sensitivity. It's something that I kept like inside, and I went the opposite. I tried to look tougher and not show that high sensitivity. And now I'm like, now I'm wearing my sensitivity on my sleeve and I'm stepping in that. But as a kid, it was the opposite.
Thank God. Yeah, we need that as women. Women who don't cry and aren't in touch that way, the body is affected. And cortisol gets released through tears. And so we teach that as well. Like women who haven't cried in a decade, I'm like, we have a problem. Yeah, it's it's orgasms and tears, but tears are more appropriate. So in public. So I always lead with tears. But cry, I said, cry. You feel like I gotta tell my cry. I cry all the time. I have a moment, I release, cortisol leaves. I'm like, oh, thank God. Now I'm not gonna binge later. Okay, we can't let those buildups happen. And I think there's power in tears, and so
there's power in sensitivity. I'm saying this now. I'm saying this now as
you're young. You're young. I'm like
as I'm growing. But when it comes to your book, what do you think is the core? Because I know, but what do you think is the core message that you hope every woman would like walk away with when they read your book?
What a great! No one has ever asked me that ever.
Thank you so much.
I love that. So I always say first answer, right answer. Everyone can do. So you are better than you think you are. You're better than you think you are. Know thyself, know thy worth. It's chapter 1 of the book. Know thyself, know thy worth.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself. And you can only know yourself if the sugar is down and you're tuning in and you're finding your space for yourself. We don't use much of our brain. And myself too. I'm like, oh, I wonder what else I could do. Like, yeah, all the time. It's one of my biggest questions. Well, I wonder what percentage of my why I'm here am I using? I'm a big fan of like mission oriented, and so I'm always like, how could I go bigger?
No, I love that. And your book, like I said, it's really just not about dieting and making you feel bad for being who you are at this very moment. It's just, it feels like talking to a friend who have been through stuff, who have gone through stuff, and they're talking to you without pretension, and they're giving you advice. Not even, they're talking to you with your best interest in mind. And I love the emphasis that you put on happiness and the fact that for me, it's something that I'm doing this year, purposefully create space of happiness and joy in my life, because goddamn, this world will take it away from you will steal the joy and the happiness from your life. And it's really important, I think, to purposefully create space of joy and happiness every single day. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care. I don't want to hear about your job. I don't want to hear about your boyfriend. I don't care. Laugh, dance, watch a comedy special. I don't care.
It's a choice. I teach
it's a choice.
It's a choice to feel good. No, it's not. Yes, it is. You're just choosing something else by default for so long that you don't even know you're addicted to negative feelings and thoughts. And we just had an election here in the States. Ain't going to get into it.
We heard.
People were angry. I mean, I don't give a shit. I fucking got what I want, and I voted for my values. My point is, I said, you feel good anyway. You feel good anyway. It's a choice. People don't realize that. They just go with their default feelings of anger or upset. It's a choice. It's a choice.
And it plays a role when it comes to sugar addiction, it plays a role in that, because if you're always unhappy, if you're always sad, if you're always drained out, you're going to reach out to what makes you feel happy for just a second. And I realized that, and I mean, and you can add on that,
but great.
What we rather abandoned the long-term feeling good, feeling good long-term for that second or that minute because I'm asking, why are we craving sugar if we know that we are going to feel like shit? But from what I understand from reading your book, it's like we rather feel good.
Dopamine hit.
That second?
Dopamine hit. That's right. It's dopamine hit. You're getting a dopamine hit because you're feeling low. Dopamine hit from the sugar. It's in the brain. I go, well, let's do activities that create dopamine hits. Volunteering, giving, praying, working out. playing with a child, meditating. You can Google them all. These are the ones I'm making up that a kiss, telling someone you love them. Scrolling is a dopamine hit. Sugar is a dopamine hit. I go, great. Well, now that you know that, let's get a dopamine hit from somewhere else. And I'd be remiss, because I know we're going to wrap up in a little bit, I'd be remiss if I didn't share that your brain is inflamed from all the sugar. And you need to know that when the sugar comes down and the brain is not inflamed the way it was, not only will you not be addicted to negative thoughts, but you're not going to crave sugar the same. But people don't know that the road they're headed on, when they keep choosing something other than all these poisonous sugars every day, gives your brain time to heal, and then you will not crave it the same. But people don't know that. Just like working out, they kind of know if they keep doing the bicep thing, they're going to get a muscle. But they don't know that it's not a one time if you say no. No, your brain needs to heal. It's so friggin' inflamed from all the breads and the flours and the seed oils and the sugars. I'll get in the grains. So your brain's inflamed. I know on a day I'm like, oh, my brain's inflamed today. Like, this is a problem. I really want sugar. It's like calling me. And then I do things to bring my inflammation down. Versus people who don't know that, there's no path forward. They just do the short term, I'm just going to have it. But I teach you the path out. And you're like, wow, I want the path out. And it takes a little time. But when you have a path, you follow it, right? When you have a plan that someone promises you, money back guarantees, promises you you're going to get there if you do these things, which are not complicated. Fix your gut, eat real food, work on your environment. I mean, it's almost ridiculous what I teach. I get excited talking to you about it. We have a plan, and I'm telling you you're going to get there, and hang out with us and let us teach you things. We teach a couple of times a month, and private, it's a private group in there. Like, God, I'm like, I'll come because I trust you now. The guarantees help, but I trust me. Follow me. Look around on my website. Like, look around, and then they know where they're going. It's when you don't know where you're going. Why would you not eat it? But if you know you can make these changes and you're going to get there, because I have a track record. Women say, God, let's go. Right? It's when you don't have a plan. You think it's an isolated incident of not having it. And I'm like, no. No, it adds up when you don't eat it. It's cumulative. And then you don't want it. And then you don't have negative thoughts, because negative thoughts come from inflammation. I can go all day on this.
It's fascinating, and I just want to say that the first step to that road is just wanting it. If you just want that, if you just have the thought of wanting it, it's not like it doesn't require you to be an expert or to do that. If you just want that for yourself, then you are already on the path. You want your life to be better.
Just that. You don't want a controlled substance in your life that you don't know how to control, that has been proven to cause cancer and disease. And like I said, 50, I see what happens because I've been doing this 2 decades. And so I'm at an advantage, because I know who hires me, and I know the age, and I know when the body starts to break down. I don't look the way I do because I don't do what everyone else does. And therefore I don't look and sound like everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it does things to the body. And yes, however, people need to get clear, get afraid. I don't love that, but some freak out. Freak out. Have the doctor tell you your BMI, you're in the morbid obese. Freak out that you have a family history of heart disease or cancer or heart attacks. Use it. Don't feel bad, but use it to drive you. Whatever it is, you know you have a mission in life and you want to do more. And Jenn Edden just taught you that your brain gets fogged and you're never going to reach your mission and your goals are not going to be met. And if that burns you up, come for that reason. I don't care what people come for. I just need them to get fired up and want to just make some sustainable changes that are not hard. It's not hard, so I just want to like plaster it to a board and be like, look, come for free. And then if it works, which it will, then pay me. Like I'm always thinking of ideas of how to.
No, I think that the method is not hard. The method is not hard. It's taking the first step towards, it's contacting you that is hard. It's first of all, it's acknowledging that you have a problem with sugar. The method itself may not be hard. And
that you're not going to fail this time. Everyone thinks they're going to fail. That's my biggest thing. I can't fail again. I can't afford to fail again. I spent thousands on this. I trusted this one with this. The biggest deal when you get to my age, because we've done a lot of things.
But I
And a
feel
lot of
like you can, if it's a lifetime commitment, you can never fail because now, thanks to your book, I have a completely different outlook. I've tried to stop sugar, okay, but I was doing it the wrong way every single time. Thanks to your book, I realized that. But I feel like now that it is when it becomes a lifetime commitment, you can never fail. You can just have ups and down, and you might eat the piece of cake. But if you know that long term, I am committed to,
that's
I'm
right.
I'm going to reduce sugar in my life, and I'm taking control, and I'm becoming a better version of myself. I feel like the goal is not to stop sugar, is to just be happy, be better, feel good, to wake up feeling good. To go back to what you're saying on your website, the goal is to feel good
That
every
is on my
day.
website. Everywhere. Feel good.
Yeah, if that's the goal, then you don't. I mean, you can never fail, really. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
It does. And when you feel good, I tell women, because a lot of women come with stubborn weight and they're like, Jen, you're lean, you're 53. Well, what? Why didn't it get you? And I'm like, well, it's not that it's not getting me, you're inflamed. I said, when I feel good, I do good. When I feel good, I think good, I do good, I make great choices. When I feel like crap, I eat like crap. I make crap, not anymore. I still reverse it. I don't care if I wake up with anxiety some days. I'm still not eating that stuff because I've just trained myself. I love myself too much. I don't care if I feel that way. Go do
Self-love.
something nice for yourself. And doing something nice for myself doesn't equate to sugar because sugar doesn't make me feel good. Now, I did have a cookie and a half last night of our favorite. The daughter and I gluten. Like, I was like, Sydney, I'm having a craving. She's like, okay, Mom, there's only 2 left. She goes, can I eat a half? I said, yeah, but I ate it laughing with joy. And then we're like, and it wasn't a binge. I'm like, oh, we got dad's fudge. I'm like, oh, let's ask Dad. Hey, Joe, we're hysterical. My nanny we had, she'd be like, you guys are a comedy show. I'm like, Joe, you want a little piece of fudge? We're having little pieces of fudge. I'm like, Sydney, enough sugar. We got to watch this. She's like, okay, Mom, we're good. And like, we're just playing with it. Will I have it tonight? No. My hands feel it today. I'm like, shit, Jen, do better. But it's a lifetime commitment. And we were giggling and laughing, and it's just fun. Like,
No, it's amazing. It's about
we
self-love,
don't get it.
and you really, your book. I
Yeah,
encourage every single person to read your book. It's an easy read. It's a beautiful read.
good. And we
It's
didn't say what it is, so will you put it? It's Woman Unleashed. Will you
Woman
put it in
Unleashed.
the
Yeah, I'm gonna
Woman
put it.
Unleashed?
I mean, anyway, before that, I'm gonna do like a little intro because I do
Oh,
that
oh,
before
good.
because otherwise
Good.
I find it weird to do it when the person's there. Anyway, I'm gonna explain all of that, but please read the book. It's an easy read. It's a beautiful read. You're,
Amazon, or you
it
get a free
is
copy.
it is life changing. Honestly, it is mindset shifting. And
Thank you.
I don't say that easily when it comes to books. I'm very picky with my books.
Me
And
too.
your smile is beautiful. Your energy is great.
Thanks.
My last question will be,
Yes. Yes.
looking back on all that you've accomplished, and you can take your time with it, all the lives that you have impacted, or all around the world. You know what has been the most fulfilling part of that journey? Because you've done a lot. I mean, we didn't even. You do snowboarding to relax. You have a very strong family. What has been the most
Thanks.
fulfilling part?
It's so first answer, right answer. Interesting, right? I believe in that. I believe it comes right from spirit. When a woman messages me years later, that it no longer controls her and it's years. See, because we could do a cleanse for 1 fucking week. We could do that's not impressive to me. What's impressive is I'm 50. I've birthed 3 kids. I look and feel amazing. It's not a front. I come from a family history of anxiety and depression and bipolar and addiction. And like, it works. And when a woman tells me it's years later and their life is still working well, I'm like, I've done my job. Because my job is to work myself out of my job so that what I teach just becomes new habits and new brain circuits. It's new circuitry for people. I'm about sustaining it's about sustainability. I don't do anything. It's a waste of my time, these things. Oh, you can get results, but I can't sustain that. I can't sustain that for more than 90 days because my life is chaotic. And so I have a chaotic life, and I created a method that is bulletproof through chaos. And I love that because chaos is real. Okay, the world is chaotic. It's life. It's going to throw you curveballs. So I have curveballs and still friggin' be uninflamed. And I love that. Like, that's the shit right there. Like, how many people can I teach that to? Like, let's go.
And you
Find
are
me.
doing it. You are
Call.
doing it beautifully.
Join
That
the
is for sure.
program.
Thank you
Do
so much
something.
for your mission. Thank you so much for your gift. Honestly, and I love everything that you said. I mean, your technique. I see that I believe that it works 100%. And sugar addiction or any addiction, but it's more than just the substance. You are way better than what you think you are. Just like you said, to repeat your words, and
Thank you.
it's so much deeper. It's all encompassing. It's not just about the sugar itself. It's about your thoughts. It's about what you think about yourself, what you think about the world. It's about your environment. It's about who you are with and where you've been. And it's about reviewing all of that. It's not just sugar addiction. It's not just the piece of cake. It goes
Yes.
deeper than that. And it should not be a scary road to go down to. The road back to yourself. It should not be a scary road. You don't have to do it alone. You can contact Jenn if you don't want to do it with someone. And
And I
thank
would
you.
love to add to that. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And I'm all about change is good because change is life. Life is about change.
Yes.
And so if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So if something is really easy and you're at the gym and but you're not challenged by your partner. You're not challenged by your job. It doesn't change you. If you don't change yourself, you're staying the same. And you have to change to get past addiction. You have to change. And so take on the challenge knowing it's going to change you and that's what you want. The only way out is through. The only way out is through. And
Yes.
that it's change. And so that makes it more acceptable. Okay, I feel awful, but I'm changing. And changing me is how Celine said, we get out. Great, you're welcome. And besides, the other side is always better than where we are. Like, let's go. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I
And
love that.
thanks to
Thank
this
you.
interview, I am better on the other side than before this interview. I am better after this interview. I am better after your book. And yes, thank you for being you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And I know for a fact that people will take a lot from this interview and from this little conversation. Thank you for sitting down with me and sharing your knowledge and your insights
You're
with me.
delightful.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.